Story time. Well, we didn't almost die, but it was touch and go. It was scary. It was scary.
Yes. It was really scary. So, from the beginning,
I picked her up from the airport.
in the car to go back to the farm, and turns to me, and goes, I want to take you on the scenic route.
All right.
So-
In fairness, what I thought that the scenic route was just another highway. And also Google said that it would only be 7 minutes shorter. Like, Google said that there was a road here.
So I'm like, yeah, cool, yeah. So we're driving along, and it ends up turning into this dirt road. Take a look at the path. There's a fork on the dirt road. One of them looks a little bit nicer than the other. There's been no trespassing signs, and we're just ignoring this. It's on Google Maps. It's a public road. Take the right fork. We end up in someone's driveway. We're turning around, and this guy comes running out.
You! Hey, you! It was like you could hear his footsteps. Like he was like an ogre.
Yeah. So
Well, I think both of us were thinking, maybe we're just gonna like gun it right now. Maybe we're just gonna drive away.
I don't know why you stopped.
I felt like if I told him we took a wrong turn and we're gonna be out of your hair in a minute, that it would settle. And if we ran away, then maybe he would follow us or something. And he didn't look like he was armed or anything at that moment. So I was like, okay, well, this is the opportunity to just like clear things up immediately. I said, good morning. And he said, what are you doing on my property? And then I said, we took a wrong turn. We're sorry to bother you. We'll be out of your hair in a minute. And then he said, there's no trespassing signs everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was the end of the interaction.
Yeah.
I said, sorry to bother you. We're on our way. And we drove away.
So we're getting started on a great start.
Yeah.
We tried the other path.
You're like hiding in them.
So,
I think the thing that kept us on the road was the fact that we never went out of service. We always were on the blue line. Actually, sometimes when we would go on a fork, we'd go off the blue line.
so that means when we found the blue line,
Yeah.
we were like, yes.
It's definitely a road. Google was like, yeah, you're 12 minutes away from your house. And I remembered my dad had told me that there was a stagecoach road that connected the two towns before there was ever a freeway. What I thought he had told me was that you could still get through. And I was like, oh, cool. This is when we're going to discover that old road. And Google says that it's still here.
Yeah. So we reach the first omen. We should have known that we should have turned back. We're driving up. It's pretty steep. We see this super rusty, flipped over car. Looks like it's been there for decades.
50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking back, there were a number of signs when we should have known that we should stop. At the time, every obstacle that we encountered, taken by itself, was something that we could get past. The flipped over car, we could drive around it. My truck was doing great in four-wheel drive. We came to a spot where the road was super washed out and there was like giant rocks in the middle. But in four-wheel drive on low, the truck just kind of rolled over them and I found a path around. So every single obstacle was surmountable.
So we're climbing, and we're up pretty high now. Beautiful snow-covered trees on the other side, and we climb all the way up. The road literally ends in this like 50-degree angle.
Wait. But right before that point, there's like a fork in the road.
Maybe we should draw it for them.
Okay, yeah. Can you draw it for them?
Yeah.
So, as the dirt road that we have found ourselves on climbs higher and higher over this mountain pass, it's really a interesting landscape. On one side of the mountain, there's snow on every tree. But on our side, where we're driving, there's no snow. So it's super beautiful, and we're kind of like driving through this. It feels like really old. We haven't seen anybody since the guy that yelled at us like 5 miles back down the dirt road. And then we get to like the snow part of our mountain. It's making like a snow tunnel, and we go in, and we're both feeling pretty like excited at this point because the truck has been handling really well, and Google's telling us we're pretty close to the point where I've reached from the other side. Like the road that the farm is on comes out 5 more miles, and then it turns into this dirt road. And we're only 6 miles from our house. So we know that there's only about a mile more to go of the dirt road before we get to the place where I've already been to from the other side. Basically, just as soon as we get to the snow, we go up around a bend, and then there's like a fork and a bank. Did you draw it?
I have a really great diagram. So I have this,
Oh, great.
and I have a car.
Oh, great.
Right?
Oh, yeah, this is perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
check it out. So, this is our car coming up the mountain.
No.
This is our car coming up the mountain. This way is home. This is a very steep bank. So first we try to go this way, but right here there's a crazy bump in the road and we just can't make it. So then we go back and we go this way, but then there's a dead end. So we turn around and we try to go back like that, but I can't make that turn. So then Camila goes, oh, well, go back and then reverse out of this dead end and then come down here. But as I'm going down here, my truck slips over the edge of this bank. At this point, I think I can still make it because I'm pretty close to the other side of the fork. I start to turn and my front wheel slips over the edge of the bank, and now the truck goes whoo, and Camila just like gasps, and I tell her to get out. So she gets out and I try to like complete the maneuver, and I'm in the truck and I'm like on this kind of an angle trying to reverse, and as I go back a little bit more, the front right wheel sinks down farther past the bank, and the back left wheel picks up into the air like a foot. So it looks like this. That's about the angle that the truck was on. And I get out and I check it out. And one problem is that the truck will no longer go forward or back. But the other problem is that the truck is on at least a 45-degree angle, to the point where from the back of the truck, if you look at the two wheels underneath and then the truck on top of the two wheels, one top corner of the truck is directly overhead the other wheel. So it's at least a 45-degree angle. And if I just move it with my hands, the truck will like wiggle and then go like it's gonna tip. So we're just looking at it and the truck has like one wheel 2 feet in the air, and I'm just like, this is it. I need help. Did I get it right? Thanks. Mm-hmm. Through the grace of God, I had cell service and my phone was charged and I had blankets in the truck. So we wrapped ourselves in blankets and I called my dad and I called AAA. And by the way, when I called my dad, he went, oh yeah, you can't get over that road anymore. I tried. Last time I tried, I went up somebody's driveway and he yelled at me. Actually made me feel a little better because somebody else had had a similar experience. Whoa, there's a raccoon. Ooh, he's so fat. There's a raccoon just chilling on somebody's front steps.
He has no tail.
He has no tail. Yeah, he's taking his time. Okay, so I called AAA and they go, where are you? Latitude and my longitude. And she's like, straight up, dude, I don't know if we're gonna be able to help you. But we'll send somebody out, and if he can't help you with standard equipment, you're on your own. There were at least 4 or 5 different forks in the road that are unmarked, where we had to kind of like go one way and then like backtrack and find the other way through. We figure even a tow truck driver who might know these roads won't necessarily be able to find us very quickly. So we start to walk down the mountain to catch him earlier. We get partway down, we hear him down in the undergrowth below us, tracing and retracing forked roads. He got there really quick. So I give her all the blankets and I run down to catch him at a clearing. So we find him. His name's Wes. Wes, if you're out there, you saved our skins. Camila showed up. Camila said, okay, you go up and work on it, but I ain't going up this road in the car anymore. And I also don't really want to be there when you guys try to untip your truck over, because I'll be freaking out. Which was fair. She started to walk up after us, and Wes and I rode up in his pickup. This was really the moment when all of my mistakes, like when I came face to face with all of my mistakes. Riding up the mountain with Wes, looking at this road that like he can make it over too because he has a big pickup with 4-wheel drive, but we're just looking at it like, why were you doing this? I'm getting cold, I'm gonna go inside. Okay. So I'm in Wes's pickup and we drive up the mountain. I'm trying to just make friends with this dude as well as I can. Get him invested in helping us because, you know, I think he may be the best chance we have. And he says, yeah, man, they usually keep these power line maintenance roads pretty tore up so that people won't try to drive up here. But you always got, you know, and I'm like, idiots like me. You always got idiots like me. And so we get up to the top. You know, we get out and we look at the truck, tipped up with one wheel off the ground and looking like it's gonna slide down that bank and then flip over. He can't get his truck past my truck to pull it back up the mountain. And we can't drive it and we can't pull it down at all because it'll flip. So we start looking at trees, because we figure if we latch onto this corner and we pull it that way, it won't be able to flip that way, which is the way that it wants to go. But the problem is there aren't any good stumps on this side of the road for at least like 50 feet. But there's some good trees on this side of the road. So he goes, hey, I bet if we grab onto the lower back side of the bumper and we pull it this way, it won't flip. He unspools the winch off the back of his tow truck and he grabs onto this side of the bumper and he loops it around a tree right here. And then he starts to cinch it tighter. But the problem is it's trying to flip this way. So as he starts to pull it this way, the back of it comes up even farther. And it comes up off of its back wheels. And I have to tell him, I'm back there and I'm like, stop. Whatever we were hoping would happen, it's not gonna happen. He just looks at it and he looks at me and he goes, it should be working. But it wasn't working. So all of these stumps here, all of these stumps on this side of the road, which is the direction that we really need to pull it, they're all rotted out. But there's a good one right here. That's a good one. So we undo more of the winch and we go all the way back there. And this time we start pulling it back this way. And this truck has my whole life in it. And this is how I'm gonna get to gigs. I sleep in this truck. I can't replace it if it flips over and it breaks on top of this mountain. I'm really looking at it like, why did I do this? Was it worth it? And he starts to pull the winch tighter and I just see my truck start to like slide off the bank. And it wants to flip over. It's pulling on that cable, but the cable has tension on that back, on the highest point. And as it pulls back, ever so slowly, that back wheel just comes down onto the ground. Bro, I cannot describe the sigh of relief that like washed through my whole body when I saw my truck have four wheels on the ground again. We weren't out of the woods because we had to figure out how to turn around, which meant that I had to do the same maneuver that I tried to do the first time, backing up out of the dead end, so that he had room to go around the nose and do the same, and then I drove down and then he did the same maneuver to come down. And then we came down and we met my dad at the bottom and we were saved. All right, here's the takeaways. Number one lesson that I'm learning here, humility. This has just been a totally humbling experience. And a lesson in not taking my tools for granted, not taking my truck or my cell phone or my blankets or a winch or a cable or the contract that I have with AAA to come and help me when I get stuck, or my dad's, tools and his abilities, to not take any of that stuff for granted. Because if any one of those things hadn't come through, we would have been really screwed. Another big lesson that we're learning here is about intuition and listening to your gut. Just having the map there, just having Google staring at me saying, yeah, just 12 more minutes, bro, just like you're right on track, yep, it's totally fine, allowed me to turn off my own internal sense of checking in with my surroundings and go way past the point where if I'd been on my own, I would have gone, this is not the way, this is not a good way, I'm gonna turn around. It's also about pride because I think I was excited that my truck was performing so well. I mean, a lot of this road was tricky, but my truck seemed to never have a problem with it. And I also, was with my girl and I wanted to make it through this new place and have this adventure together. But none of that is worth losing your lives on top of a mountain or getting stuck or flipping the truck over or getting hurt. And something else that I've been thinking about is how if there had ever been a single moment before we got in real trouble, when there was an insurmountable obstacle, it would have been a lot easier for me to say, this is not the way. But because there was never a single point that my truck couldn't seem to handle, I didn't make that call until it was way too late. But this is in the moment, in moments when your intuition has something that it's trying to tell you, you arrive at this knowledge through 100 tiny cues from your surroundings, and there often isn't like a single event or obstacle that you can point to and say, that's the reason that I know this thing. It's known in this more oblique way, where you just realize gradually that something is off. And if I had been paying attention, if I had been present to what was actually happening, instead of just wrapped up in this feeling of adventure and this feeling of like, so almost tunnel vision, where I was looking at the road just in front of me and going, yeah, I can do that. Well, I can do this. Well, I can do this. I would have woken up to this, the reality of our situation a lot sooner. So we're safe. The truck still works. It got us up to Portland. I'm counting my blessings, and I'm trying to learn from my mistakes. I'll see you tomorrow.